The Detroit Red Wings have made multiple significant additions to their lineup this offseason and look like a team that is ready to take the next step. So let's take a look at the moves that they've made so far and talk about where they might be headed. Hey everybody, so how about Stevie Y and those Detroit Red Wings? In my opinion, they are having as good of an offseason as any team in the NHL. Maybe the best offseason so far in the NHL. They've made a ton of great additions to their roster. Really haven't lost a whole lot. And when you look at what Detroit's done as a whole this offseason, they are going to be a significantly improved team this coming year compared to where they were at last season. Every move they've made has made this team better. And man, I'll tell you, Detroit is going to be a fun team to watch. And I can't wait to see what they're able to do this coming season, because I think they're going to win a lot more games than some people realize. And man, I even think they might be in contention if they have a really good year to maybe sneak into a wild card playoff spot. But let's take a look at what the Red Wings have done this offseason, all the moves that they've made, who's come in, who's gone out. And this graphic here is just going to show you how much better their lineup is going to be this season than it was last year. So here are the ins and outs for the Detroit Red Wings. And I'm going to start on the outside because there's really not that much that's significant here. Mostly veteran players, guys that, you know, their time was up. Sam Gagner, Carter Rowney, Mitchell Stevens up front, Danny DeKeyser, Mark Stahl, Olli Juolevi on the back end, goaltender Thomas Greiss. I mean, these are not significant losses for the Red Wings. These are guys that were playing depth roles for the most part, veteran players who were on the, you know, downswings of their careers. Like there's not a single major piece that's gone out away from the Detroit Red Wings this offseason. It's all been pretty much veteran depth guys who, you know, they could afford to lose. Now let's look at the guys coming in, the new additions for the Detroit Red Wings, because these are not small additions. These are not just depth pieces coming in. We've got major additions to the lineup here in Detroit, starting up front with forward Andrew Copp and David Perron. They land Andrew Copp, who is one of the biggest forwards on the free agent market, on a 5-year deal. They also bring in David Perron from St. Louis on a 2-year deal. They bring in Dominik Kubalik, who's a great low-cost secondary scorer coming in from the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, their forward group, look at who went out. They lost 3 NHL forwards, Sam Gagner, Carter Rowney, and Mitchell Stevens. They've brought 3 NHL forwards in, Andrew Copp, David Perron, and Dominik Kubalik. I mean, look at the difference there at quality of player. Like, no offense to the, you know, the guys that are leaving, but just, I mean, these are impact players coming into the Detroit lineup in that forward group. 3 significant additions to that forward group for this coming season. On the back end, DeKeyser out. He was about done anyway. Mark Stahl coming towards the end of his career. He's out. Juolevi never found it as an NHL player. He's out. They bring in Ben Chiarot, Olli Maatta, and Mark Pysyk. So obviously Mark Pysyk's not a huge addition, but he's a good depth piece for a guy that will probably be like your 7th defenseman or something like that. Olli Maatta is coming off a pretty strong year with the Los Angeles Kings. And again, kind of more of a bottom pair type guy, but a good solid depth addition. And I think an upgrade over certainly Danny DeKeyser and Olli Juolevi, maybe over Mark Stahl as well. And they also get Ben Chiarot. And Chiarot, to me, is the most interesting talking point of these signings that Detroit has made, because Ben Chiarot, I think, largely over the past couple seasons has been overrated. But it's a 4-year deal. It's under $5 million per season. I don't think it's a bad contract. I think the issue with Chiarot is that teams, particularly Montreal, tried to make him a top pair defenseman. And I don't think Ben Chiarot belongs as a top pair defenseman. I think he's more of like a number 4 type guy. but he still is an upgrade significantly over what Detroit had there last year. Certainly better than DeKeyser and Ulevy, better than Mark Stahl. He's still an upgrade on the back end, even though of all the contracts Detroit signed, Chiarot to me was the most surprising. And the one that I really wasn't expecting because, Florida gave up so much at the deadline last year to get him. He was okay with the Panthers, but he wasn't great. He had a really tough year when he was still in Montreal. Again, I think Montreal was trying to make him something that he's not, and that's a top pair D-man. I hope Detroit doesn't make the same mistake because I think Chiarot in the right role can be a very solid stay-at-home, responsible defenseman if you play him in the right role. I think where you can get in trouble with Ben Chiarot is when you try and make him do too much and you try and make him a bigger player in the lineup than what he should be. So that's going to be interesting. I really want to watch Detroit and see what they do with Ben Chiarot, which pairing he's on, what his role is going to be on that team. Because I think if they play him properly, that could end up being a pretty solid addition. But if they try and do too much with him, then it might go downhill. That's the only one that I even question at all with this team, though, because Pysyk and Mata are both solid depth additions. They also traded for Ville Husso and then signed him to a 3-year deal, so they've upgraded in goal as well fairly significantly. Ville Husso is definitely a lot better than Thomas Greiss at this point in their respective careers, and now they have a legitimate goaltending tandem. With Alex Nedeljkovic and Ville Husso in goal, they have a legitimate goaltending tandem that can stop pucks and play adequate goal. And I think you're going to see the goals against are going to be a lot better for the Detroit Red Wings this year compared to what they were last year, both because of their goaltending and also because of defensive improvements. But all in all, if you look at what's been added to the Red Wings roster and what's left the Red Wings roster, they have improved at literally every single position. They've improved up front, they've improved on the back end, and they've improved in goal. Could you ask for anything more as a fan of a team than for your team to get better in every area of the game? The other thing is that the Red Wings power play, which was pretty brutal last year at just 16%, is going to be much, much better with David Perron in the mix. David Perron, I feel like people may not realize this, is one of the best power play players in the entire NHL, and he lit it up with the St. Louis Blues last year on the power play. He is going to have a huge impact on the special teams for the Red Wings, particularly the power play, and I think, their power play is going to be a much, much better unit this year and have much better numbers this coming season with David Perron on the ice. And I think Chiarot and Copp are both guys that can improve their penalty kills. So Detroit got better in special teams as well, just because some of these players that they've brought in are really good on special teams. Like Copp is a really just great all-around player. Chiarot is a good penalty killer. Perron's great on the power play. Kubalik potentially could maybe get some power play time as on a second unit if they want his shot out there on the second unit. I mean, this is a team that has literally gotten better in every single area of the game. Offensively, defensively, goaltending, special teams. Everything Detroit's done this offseason has made them a better team. So I don't know how you couldn't be excited about that and excited to see what the Detroit Red Wings are going to be able to do next season and how big of a jump this team is going to be able to make. So I don't know if the Detroit Red Wings are going to make the playoffs next year. That would be a monster jump at this point. However, I do think that with all the changes that they've made and how much better they've gotten, they're going to be much more in contention for a playoff spot. And I do think it's possible, and maybe if they stay healthy and a lot of things go right for them this year, that maybe they could sneak into a wild card spot as a possible surprise playoff team. I wouldn't expect that as a Red Wings fan, but what I would expect as a Detroit Red Wings fan is a significant improvement over where they were at last season. much closer to being a playoff team. This team should be making a major jump from where they were at with these roster improvements. So, I mean, maybe they're able to pull off something like the LA Kings did last year, where they were kind of one of the big surprise playoff teams and really were able to make that next jump. We saw the Kings do it last year after adding Arvidsson and adding Danault and adding Edler and getting those few veteran pieces in the LA Kings lineup. LA went from a team that was not even really close to the playoffs to sneaking into a playoff spot last season. Could Detroit possibly do that this year? I absolutely think it's possible. I wouldn't necessarily expect it, but I wouldn't be super surprised if they're able to pull it off. I mean, they've basically followed the same playbook of bringing in those pieces to round out a very young lineup. Like, this is what Detroit needed to do, was they needed to wait until their young core got, established at the NHL level, which was last season. Moritz Seider won the Calder. Lucas Raymond had a strong year. Larkin's still just 25 years old. They've got those kind of young cornerstone pieces, and now it was time to fill out the roster and really put some veteran guys in there that are going to make this team better. David Perron, Andrew Copp, Ben Chiarot. They've started putting those veteran guys in there, and I think we're going to see a huge jump from the Detroit Red Wings this season. Again, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think I would bet on them making the playoffs, but I do think they're going to be a heck of a lot closer. They will be a playoff team within the next few years, and we're going to see a significant improvement and jump forward for Detroit this season. They might be like that first or second team outside of a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference if they don't make it. So I have really, really greater expectations now for the Red Wings, and I'm really excited to see them play. Like, this is a team that after these additions I want to watch now, and I certainly haven't said that about the Red Wings really the last few years. They have not been a team that I've been going out of my way to watch. This season I really want to watch the Detroit Red Wings. So I'm super excited for where this team is headed. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive this year, win a lot more games. Every move they've made this offseason has been an improvement, and cannot wait to see what this team looks like when the season starts. So that is what I've got on the Detroit Red Wings offseason so far. Oh, the other thing, I don't think they're necessarily done either. I think there might be another big move or two in the cards for the Red Wings this offseason, but we'll have to wait and see how that all works out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And with that, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our merchandise store, membership, and donations are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all very soon.